Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today we have a new release from Longines. This is part of the Conquest range of watches, and to be fair, there are quite a few out there, but this one is actually part of the Heritage range of watches. So, you know, it's definitely more aimed towards the slightly, I'd say, more dressier side really. It's also available in two different sizes, so you got 40mm and the 38mm version. You can have it with a bracelet, you can have it on a leather strap. There's also different dial colours like cream and black. I think there's a limited edition red, Year of a Snake, I believe it is. So you've got quite a few bases covered when it actually comes to this watch. It's definitely a bit more elegant than, say, the Hydro Conquest range and things like that. But it's still definitely got the Longines DNA to it. You can definitely see that. But before I get too far into this review, I've got to say a massive thank you to the team over at First Class Watches of Kenilworth for allowing me to review this piece. Lots of cool brands, lots of interesting watches, and some brands you might not have seen before. So if you're in the Kenilworth area, I'd strongly recommend popping into the shop. If you're a little bit further afield, well, don't worry, I'll leave a link in the description and at the bottom page now. Or I'll ask, if you do contact them, please mention my channels, it would help. So let's talk sizes. As I say, two versions. This is the 40mm version. It comes out at 11.3 millimeters thick, and it does look very slim actually. And it's got a lug to lug of 47.8, and the bracelet size on this one is 20mm. The dial is simply elegant. It has a very heavy sunbursting going onto it. As you can see, the way the light is picked up and you get those different kind of hue colours to it, that is all down to that sunburst. It's all basically straight etched lines coming out from the centre, and the light just catches them in different ways. The hands themselves are beautifully polished. They really are very sharp. Very well done. You do have a loomed centre to them, and you have little loom marks on it. And to be fair, the loom isn't that bad at all, being that after all, it's not a dive watch. This is more aimed at being a dress watch. So to be fair, it's perfectly okay. We have these rather gorgeous applied hour markers going on here. And because they're multifaceted, you do pick up light in different kind. They do glint actually, let's say. They do look very nice. And then you also have what I always like, the applied wing from Longines there. I think that looks really good. And then just a printed automatic script and Conquest written down there in that script. It does look actually very tidy. You do have the old Made in Swiss down the bottom there. I think the dial on a whole looks great. I like how they just alter the kind of from the sunburst to a round circular motion there and then back out again. I don't know if the dial is actually slightly curved. I reckon probably not. It's just the way they play with the different finishes, which gives it that kind of, gives it a bit more kind of depth to the dial. I do like it. And then you always have this with the Conquest, this little marker up there, which is a little bit strange really, but you see it's almost like crosshairs going there. You can imagine them going through. Overall, very nice. You know, you can't fault that at all. The actual crystal, beautiful kind of dome to it there, as you can see coming round. There is AR coating on both sides of this, so it does a very good job of keeping reflections down to an absolute minimal. The bezel, fully polished, and it is fixed. It obviously doesn't rotate on this one. The sides of the watch, all polished going along the sides. I would say one thing, I'd say maybe a little bit, you know, feel like there could have been a bit more maybe go on this, but overall it's still very nice. Maybe if they'd put a bit more of an angle on there. I do like the way the bezel sits into it here. That is, you know, a nice touch on this one, but I just feel they could have done a little bit more. The bracelet goes in, there's a tiny bit of play to be fair. You all polished, and you have this brushwork going on there. I would have thought this would look better either with brushed lugs or, you know, just something to break it up. Otherwise, it is quite a bit of polishing going on there. The crown itself, let's have a. It goes straight into hand wind. Now, if I pull it out, ooh, there is actually a ghost date on it, as you can see. I'm rotating that crown. The second hand is still moving. So it may not be a ghost date per se. I just think there's a lot of travel from hand wind to setting. So what it would seem is they've used a watch with a date function and negated it, and just simply there's a lot of travel, and so it gets stuck. And there you can see it suddenly locks out and goes into hacking and handset. So there you go. Isn't a screw down crown. This watch does feature water resistance, but albeit 50 meters water resistance. Though I think Longines, I will have to double check. I think they say if it is 50 meters, it is a true 50 meters. Now that may sound absolutely stupid, but many watch brands, if you've got a watch which is only water resistant to 50 meters, they don't even recommend going in a pool with it. So they say that's kind of enough for having a shower. So a couple of the brands, I think Omega is one of them, where they actually state if that is the actual given depth, they mean it. So fair play to them. On the back here, quite interesting. You've got a little fish going on here and a gold medallion there. Underneath that case back features what they call the L888 movement. Now that has, I put it on the time grapher, I think it was +2 seconds or something like that. It has a power reserve of 72 hours and a dual count of 21. Looking at the movement, it actually looks like it's based on the ETA 2892 with the beat rate slightly slowed down, or the architecture of the barrel bridge is also very similar to the Omega 1120 with that extra wheel coming through for the winding, so for the auto rotor section. But overall, it's a solid, dependable movement. You're not going to have any trouble with that. The bracelet on this one, it's very slim, to be fair, but it does feel really solid. You do have the polished centers and brushed outers, and then you come to this actual clasp on the back here. One thing I like about this clasp, it's thin. It is actually a very thin clasp. I like it. Does have a logo on the back. You press the 2 buttons to release, and there you go, even etched in there with Longines. But what this does feature is an on-the-fly micro adjustment. I should point out, it looks like they are pins, split pins, which lock this together. But if you want to release this, you press that button and you can pull it out, and you've got micro adjustment. And the nice touch with this, it still looks like the original bracelet, even though it is, well, actually, no, it is. It's just a longer version. So that I like. I think that's good. It looks like you, is there actually half links on this? Yeah, it looks like, no, they're not. So the links are quite small though. But what it gives you, if I go here, so that's at full extension. 1, 2, 3. So you've got 3 levels of adjustment. And to be fair, that should be all you ever need. I can never imagine your wrist is going to swell any more than that, let's say. So that is quite good. I don't mind that at all. Let's zoom out, do a quick wrist check before I put it on my wrist. I'm wearing my Panerai 177, which I've had for, I think, 15 years now, give or take. An old classic Panerai, a titanium model. And Bob is wearing the Hanhart. Quite interesting though. Both of these models are called the Heritage range, and the Conquest originally came out in 1954, and the Hanhart 417 Heritage model here also made its debut in 1954. Both these are 1954. So yeah, how bizarre. My wrist size, 7¼ inches. That works out to 18.5 centimeters. Now, as you can see, an absolutely huge amount of bracelet there. And there you go. That's the 40mm model. Being that this is relatively all dial, it almost looks like it's kind of quite full on my wrist there. And that's the thing. Whenever you haven't got a big bezel, it does fill the wrist a lot more. So anyway, hope you enjoyed that. Any questions in the comments, I'll always try and get back to you. But most importantly, you'll stay safe out there. Take care, guys. All the best. Bye.